Okay, it's 10:03, so we'll get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Lightning Demos, the Startup Toolkit. Internal tools every company needs to move faster. My name is Vasundhara. I'm a growth marketing manager at Retool and your host for today. So as thousands of startups around the world have started to build their internal tooling in Retool, we've started to see common use cases that every early stage company needs: dashboards, admin panels, customer support tools, and more. So today we brought together speakers who have personally built most, if not all of these in Retool. I'm joined by early stage employees at companies in all stages of their startup journey. So from idea to late stage funding, pre-launch to product market fit, and finally at scale. Despite having a wide range of technical backgrounds. So Luis is an operational leader, while Shibanshu and Kihan are founding Retool engineers at their respective companies. Everybody here today has built Retool apps from scratch. Our agenda for today is 5-minute presentations from each guest, followed by Q&A. The event is being recorded and it'll be emailed to everybody that has RSVP'd. So if you have questions at any time, please use the Q&A feature in the bottom nav bar. Please note that this is different than the chat feature, and we prefer that you use the Q&A feature. So with that, I'll introduce our first speaker, Luis, the CEO at Hera. Hera graduated from YC less than a month ago, but Luis had already built all their internal tooling before launch. And as the youngest company here, I felt it was fitting to begin with them. So Luis, please take it away.
Thank you, Vasundhara, for the intro. So let me share my screen. Okay. So hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Luis, one of the co-founders of Hera. So Hera is a calendar app to prepare, join, and follow up on virtual meetings without leaving the keyboard. So we're basically replacing your Google Calendar tab. And in 3 years from now, we want to become the operating system for meetings in remote companies. We've started working on Hera in February 2021, and we've launched a single player version 3 months ago, targeting top managers in high growth startups. In terms of team, we're the 3 of us. So there is Bruno, who is the co-founder and CEO. He has an engineering background, and Jeremy, who is the lead engineer. On my end, I have a business background, so no technical expertise at all. And I'm mostly doing growth, customer success, and product discovery here at Hera. Retool is helping us solving 2 main problems as an early stage startups. So the first one is, how do we use data to make the right product decisions? And second, how can we set the pillars of a not engineering reliant ops team? So I'm going to deep dive into each of these problems and show you the dashboard that I've created. So first thing, as an early stage startup, how do we use data to make the right product decisions? So at Hera, we're using both qualitative and quantitative insights. So all of our users are actually in a Slack workspace, and we get feedback from them on a daily basis through this channel. We also use quantitative insights, and we're using Retool for that. So we have dashboards to track specific feature usage and product usage. So let me show you that right now. Okay, so this is a Retool dashboard that I've created. And basically we have a productivity app. So retention and activation are super key for us. These are the North Star metrics. So this first dashboard helps me understand who has signed up, when, and when was the last meeting date. And I also get information on the percentage of meetings joined through Hera within the last week, which gives me a sense of what is the stickiness, basically. I can also filter by user and get this information user by user, which, by the way, helps me do high-touch customer success because I can see if a user is churning, and I can reach out to them with specific insights and specific questions. I also have a dashboard for specific features. For instance, here I have a detailed meeting by meeting, and we have a feature called highlights and next action that user can take during their meetings. And here, for instance, we can see that it's 0 everywhere. So probably we need to do product discovery for that. But this basically helps us drive the product roadmap. So yeah, having these Retool dashboards really help us driving the product roadmap, make the right product decisions, and help with customer success. Because as I was mentioning, I can like see which users are churning and reach out to them directly. The second problem is, how can we set the pillars of a net engineering reliant ops team? So we're also using Retool to take actions upon the data. So actually, maybe I should show you directly what it looks like. So I have this dashboard that I use where I can do, for instance, tiering of users. So when a user joins the waitlist, we can tier them into tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, depending on different criteria. And this is automatically linked to customer.io. And depending on the tiering, we would send a different email for each of the users, asking them to sign up or to wait a few weeks and so on. I can also, on existing users, take actions and grant different permissions depending on the users. So I can remove a user. I can also grant access to specific templates to specific users. So as Vasundhara was mentioning, we did YC this summer, and we've created a YC fundraising specific template. So all the YC community who is on Hera gets access to this fundraising template. So it basically looks like this, by the way. I can do / on Hera, select the YC fundraising template and use it like this. So this template is only accessible to the YC community, and I can grant access directly from Retool. So using Retool like this, kind of as a back office, make it much more scalable than editing in the database, and it avoids us making mistakes, which will help grow the operations team in the time. So the impact of Retool and what's next. So the impact of Retool has been that we are shipping a new version every week, and we add, we improve, or we remove features based on the data that we see on a Retool. And we also do high-touch customer success directly on Slack with our users to improve the activation and retention, which are our North Star metrics. What's next? So we basically want to be able directly from Retool to customize Hera for each of the users. So we're currently building integrations with Notion, Salesforce, Affinity, and other tools. And so each user is going to get a different version of Hera based on his needs and his roles. And so we want to be able to do that directly from Retool. So this will be my next challenge on Retool. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. And by the way, if you want to join Hera, if you want to join the waitlist, you can go ahead and go on hera.so. Thank you for listening.
That was amazing, Luis. I love how you've empowered your ops org of one now, but I'm sure to grow much later without engineering help right from the onset. And you're also using data from Retool to dog food your product strategy, which I think is super smart. So thank you for sharing. Our next speaker for today is Dave. Dave is the CTO at Upchieve, a nonprofit that provides tens of thousands of students with access to academic support to finish high school and attend college. As an XYC company, Upchieve lies in this super unique middle ground of a fast scaling startup, which operates similarly to a bootstrapped company. They're scaling super fast and in a very lean manner, but I'll let Dave share more. So take it away.
Thanks. Yeah, get zoom out of the way. So yeah, I'm Dave Sudia. I'm the CTO at Upchieve, and Vasundhara gave us a really good introduction there. But yeah, so we provide free one-on-one on-demand tutoring for low-income high school students. They come to our site and sort of demonstrate that they're either from a low-income community or go to a low-income high school. We have a large bank of volunteer tutors who set availability, and we certify them in subjects. And then if a student comes on at 11:30 at night and needs help with calculus homework, we ping our volunteers, someone takes the session and they get help. We pair them with like a whiteboard and a chat. Yeah, we're a nonprofit startup, so we are chasing growth. Our mission is to be available to all 8 million low-income high school students in the United States. But we are funded and operate a little bit more like a bootstrap company. We get grants. We sort of have a long-term sustainability story that's around sort of selling a premium volunteering experience to corporate social responsibility or HR departments as sort of as a benefit. But we don't have VC money in the bank, right? So we have to operate really lean. We started, I was employee number 6, started at the beginning of the year. We're currently at well, actually 12 staff today. We hired a product manager today. And at the end of the last school year, we were doing about 2,500 tutoring sessions per week, whereas a year earlier than that, we were doing like 50 a week. So we've been growing really quickly, and we're really proud of that. When I came on, and sort of the problem we were solving is I started in January. The executive director, who has a background in finance, knew some Python and was sort of just pulling data straight out of our database into Excel spreadsheets whenever anyone needed sort of information. And we're currently based on MongoDB. We're in the process of shifting to a SQL-based database. But one of our big struggles is, and one of the reasons that it was that way, is there's not really many BI tools that work on top of Mongo, right? They're all SQL oriented. And so it was difficult to find a product that would allow us to get good BI from our data. So, and then, when we needed new admin features, they were written into the app. So, and we're not on Rails, we're on Node Express. So we didn't have just like active admin or something you could just kind of drop in. So adding new admin features was slow. It was complex. We had to write components. It wasn't particularly good. So one of my first actions was breaking in Retool. And, we started with BI dashboards. It's drastically increased the ability for our staff to be able to make informed decisions. We have, as a nonprofit, stakeholders, that are sort of external to the organization. We have to provide more public data from the beginning, right, than we would as a privately held company. And so having the ability to quickly be able to share these things without having to add users into Retool to, some specific dashboards and stuff. And then it's just so easy to use that we've been able to get non-engineering staff on who have, like our executive director is now, instead of coding up Python scripts, is able to just drop some queries in to Retool and quickly make graphs and stuff. So I'll show some of that off right now. So this is an example dashboard. We have a group called the Associate Board that is a group of people with interest in the organization who volunteer and help us grow or network or help us with fundraising efforts. And they needed information for an annual report. And they needed pretty kind of comprehensive amount of data and settable by date and that sort of thing. So I think creating this dashboard took about 3 days, and a couple of those days were basically one of my engineers, Trey, just sort of figuring out how visualizations worked in Retool. And any future thing we've needed to do now that takes visualizations has been much faster. But yeah, I mean, for a pretty comprehensive look at our organization, this, for just being able to stand this up, this was a really fast thing for us to do. Then this is an example of a dashboard that was created by our executive director, and sort of a representation of, oh, hey, someone else can just come in who isn't super technically proficient and just build out a dashboard of information that is usable by the rest of the organization really quickly. I think this took her a couple of hours, right? And I think one of the real values is that, since all our dashboards are shared across all the organization, if one of us figures something out, someone else can come in and pick that up and just use it as an example to figure out visualizations. So where we're going next, and I've got a slide on this, but I'll just kind of show, is actually kind of using Retool for more of the original intent, which is building applications. So we have a demo environment, and we had like one demo student and one demo volunteer. But as we've grown, as we have more people needing to use the demo environment, the programs team needed an ability to quickly create like a custom user and a student and volunteer to logins to hand to someone so they could come check out the platform and play with it and try out a session. And so I just whipped up this application in a couple of hours to allow them to create users. And one of the things I really appreciate about the platform is the ability to use JavaScript packages in here, because like here they can put in this password in plain text, but this gets encrypted the same way it does in our application and dropped into the database, so that we're still correctly storing data and we still have proper data integrity while also allowing someone to quickly just whip up users. So the real value for us as a super lean organization is that all this is in one place. I don't have to find a BI tool and an app tool. It's such a flexible platform that it's allowed us to do a lot of things over the course of this year that have sped up the organization in a really massive way. So yeah, in-app JS packages are really useful. And really our next step is to then take some of these apps and make them configurable between environments. So you could choose, I want to do this in demo or staging or whatever. Yeah, that's my lightning talk. We love volunteers. You can join as a tutor. You can join. We're also open source, and we love contributors. So please stop by either of those two links if you can. Thanks.
I love how you describe the BI tooling to app building journey there, Dave. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it like that. So thank you so much for sharing that presentation. I think that was awesome. Just wanted to send a quick reminder to all of the attendees that any questions can be sent in using the Q&A feature in the bottom bar. We have 5 amazing Retool, 6, including Devin, amazing Retool experts here, and they'd be happy to answer any technical or non-questions. And you can actually direct questions to any of the panelists and they can answer it live right at the end. We can have a discussion, so please send in questions. But up next is Kihan, an engineer at Solera Health. Solera is a giant in US healthcare as a community platform. They work across a range of lifestyle problems, from diabetes prevention to weight management. Given the heavily regulated nature of the industry that Solera operates in, Kihan has built a super secure app and it air gaps in sensitive information while helping Solera manage their day-to-day functions. Today, he'll be showing us a deck that shares their story. So take it away, Kihan.
Thank you. So let me share my screen. Thank you, Vasundhara. So I'm a software engineer here at Solera Health, and I have been attending the past couple of lightning demos and have learned a lot from all of the previous speakers. I really appreciate the opportunity when I was invited by Retool to present at today's lightning demo. So without further ado, let us get started. We at Solera started using Retool roughly 11 months ago. We were searching for an internal tools platform that is quick and easy to develop and came across Retool. So first up, who are we? Solera is founded in 2015 and is headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona. Solera connects people to evidence-based community and digital lifestyle and wellness programs to maintain and improve their health. We work with insurance company and service providers and match consumers to best fit programs to improve their outcomes. We also manage their value-based payments through medical claims. So what we offer a variety of health and wellness solutions to help improve the lifestyles of our consumers. We started with diabetes prevention and are expanding further into weight management, tobacco cessation, falls prevention, social connections, and mental health. So before Retool, we were building out our internal tooling application using React. Setting that up from scratch was taking a tremendous amount of time. So that is why we kind of migrated to Retool. So maintaining and testing packages are done on the Retool side automatically. When using React, maintaining and updating packages could break something unexpectedly. So Retool helped us alleviate that concern. Secondly, before Retool, we were using Material UI and modifying every single component from scratch. This took up a lot of time, and using Retool component library, we no longer need to create our custom components for internal tooling, although we still do this for external facing apps. Third and fourth point is that we are able to accelerate our internal tooling as well as iterating on changes way faster. Retool offers us that, and we were able to move other developers to focus on external facing projects instead. Lastly, we can also manage the permissions of our user by placing users in different user groups. In all of our applications and modules, we use user groups to effortlessly hide and show models as well as certain functionalities for different types of users. Due to the nature of our data, we decided that we would do a screenshot-based demo. We have a couple of Retool applications that we have built for different teams at Solera. And in this demo, I will be going through one of the more complex ones. This application hosts a total of 12 different modules and hundreds of different queries. This is an application that allows our internal teams such as finance, marketing, call center to be able to search for participants within our system to view and edit a lot of information regarding them. Here, the user can search for a participant using their first name, last name, payer, date of birth, subscriber ID, patient ID, and care plan ID. And once they search for a patient, those search results will be populated and they can click on a specific patient. And after clicking on a specific patient, this container will appear right below the search results. Here, the user will be able to see more information regarding the selected participant, such as their name, their preferred name, the date of birth, the payer, the patient ID. And below that, the user can view the programs that the participant is committed to inside the care plans tab, the clinical lab values that this participant has. The finance team can view the charge items that have been billed for this participant. What are the coverages of this participant? Our call center team can change the demographic information for this participant, create service desk tickets to keep a record of all phone calls the agent had with this participant. Why did this participant qualify or not qualify for a program in the survey tab? What are the devices that have been sent to this participant? And what are the electronic communications that we have sent to this participant, as well as the related member of their family information right here. In the Care Plans tab, the user can check the program information for this participant. And if this participant has multiple programs associated to him or her, they can select this drop-down to change the programs associated to this participant, and all of the values down below will be changed according to a specific program. The call center team also has the ability to switch a program for a participant, disenroll them from a program, as well as commit them through our onboarding journey to a new program. So let us dive further into the demographics tab. In our demographics tab, the user can change the information of this participant that will update our database. Just to name a few, they can update their name, their gender, date of birth, race and ethnicity, address, phone and email, contact preferences, and all of that will be updated. We also have a logs tab that will allow the users to view demographic information of what has been changed in the past for this participant and who exactly in Retool made the change. As we move along to the survey tab, this is where our call center team can view what programs is this participant qualified for. So what's the CDC points that they achieve? What is the reason of them being qualified or disqualified? And when they took this questionnaire. And when they click into a specific questionnaire, all of the question and answers will be populated down below. So this would change based off the different questionnaire that you click into. So due to time constraints, I'm not able to go deeper into that application, but let us celebrate on the wins that we have achieved with Retool. So back then we had to use different software to acquire all the data we needed. Now we are connected to 10 different resources in our Retool instance, ranging from our in-house REST API, Salesforce, Service Desk Managed Engine, BigQuery, Okta, Auth0, and many more. We can centralize all of our information from different resources, all in a single application easily, which is a huge win for us since we store the data in different places. We were also able to reduce the engineering overhead by using Retool and allow more engineers to focus on our other projects. We deploy our Retool on-premise by using Google Kubernetes and host 2 different instances of Retool, staging and production in-house. Syncing the data from our staging environment to our production environment is straightforward by using Git sync. Retool is a very easy to pick up but hard to master application software building platform. You can create a very simple application within the matter of hours, while you can also create a very complex application with the use of all the different JavaScript packages available online, HTML, CSS, or even custom components. Since we are an enterprise customer, we have a bi-weekly call with a deploy engineer at Retool and a Slack channel with Retool to ask any questions we have in mind. They usually respond to any questions we have within hours, which we are really thankful for. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you for tuning in our Solera Retool Lightning Demo. I'll hand it back to Vasundhara.
Thank you, Kian. I like how you're using all the different tabs. I know we've talked about it before as well, but it makes the app so comprehensive. And there's, like you said, this amazing blend of both custom components, but also, out of the box components to sort of marry those together and build a pretty complex use case. So thank you so much for sharing that presentation. I'll move on to Joe, an investment banker turned early stage employee. Joe works on data and strategy at POP. POP helps provide 24/7 access to vets for thousands of customers. And Joe has built tools that range from managing all internal support to prototyping and operationalizing new business launches. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, can you hear me? Cool. 1 second. All right. Hey guys, my name is Joe, and I'm in charge of all the things that touch data at POP. So POP is the first ever digital health clinic that provides unlimited 24/7 access to vets and professionals, as well as a 3,000 per year emergency fund for your pet. We have around 20,000 members today, split across different kind of memberships. And our goal at POP is to help pet parents during their journey by having them not worry about pet care and not sacrifice their pets' lives. So we operate with ease of use, customer experience, affordability, and fast response as our guiding principles. We're a Series A company that is exponentially growing both in terms of users and as a team. Even though the team is 15 engineers today, the main focus is on the tech and the product. So internal apps come in second. We're a startup after all, and we're growing, and so this is normal. And we have dedicated team. We don't have a dedicated team for internal apps. Yet we're an operations-heavy startup with a lot of internal processes that we need to automate. For example, we receive a high inflow of calls and intercom messages every day where customers inquire about their accounts and request actions. So for example, updating their email, changing their payment methods, canceling their subscriptions. They could also be reaching out to the CX team for feedback in regards to the conversation at backend as well. So before Retool, customer experience specialists had to have a dozen tabs open in their browser, one for each SaaS tool in order to locate the necessary information, edit it, or update it as needed. A second very important workflow we use as an insurance company is claim processing. So our customer contact us to get claims processed, and there is a multi-step verification and KYC workflow that we need to go through to validate and pay out an emergency. And so before Retool, those were centralized in an Excel spreadsheet that served as a log. That was a very manual process, as you can imagine, which is very prone to human error. Think of a wrong email address, a wrong amount. So we needed to always run jobs periodically to clean the data in our pipeline before we serve it. So the SaaS tools I mentioned, earlier that were used by our ops team include Stripe and Recurity for payment, Cognito for emails, backend DB access for anything ad hoc, Google Sheets, and the list goes on. And so you can imagine what it means to manage those accounts for 40 members on the team, and for them to have them open all the time and locating the right information. So basically, we needed to streamline all of that, and here comes Retool. So we started using Retool, I think, a few years ago, as we were still an e-commerce platform back then, and Retool came in handy to process orders. We liked it and kept adapting it to our changing business model. Once we found product market fit, we couldn't find a better tool. And basically, we like Retool for a bunch of reasons. One, it's very easy and a fast way to build user-friendly tool. Two, the customer support and through the intercom and all the documentation and the tutorials, which just make it so easy to work in Retool and develop fast. Three, so many data sources, so many ways to integrate into your existing SaaS vendors. Access control is great. And basically, we love Retool because it's an all-in-one solution for our operations. I'm going to walk you through a pre-recorded video, basically, of our Retool app, and we'll take it from there. So here's our index screen where we have all the apps. We go into the user app. You can look up a certain user, whether by their username, ID, phone number, email. See, it's customized up there. Here I'm looking up Andrew, which is our CTO. Here's all the information about him. So let's say CX needs to know anything about their account, they can do it. They can even like process cancellations over here. Then we go to more like in-depth kind of applications. So we can look at the conversations he had. So in case he had a problem with one of the vets or he has feedback, we can see that here. We can get like how long he waited, the lengths. We can also get the link to the Twilio account. Here we see also his pets with the different health goals and conditions if they have them. No emergencies, thank God. Payments. Can also change the payment method to what payment method they're using. So this is one of the main apps. The second app is the emergencies app, which we manage to basically to manage an emergency to the workflow. And so here we take an emergency from initiated to contacted, and then we take it to the processing stage. I'm sorry for those weird names. This is our staging environment. Here we implement some checks for the cost of covered costs can all be bigger than emergency costs, a bunch of stuff. We can upload the invoice, add some notes, submit it, it goes into paid app. We can also, so all of that is for emergencies that come and are created from our backend. We can also see all the information, but we can also create an emergency from scratch. So here, again, for Andrew, to limit error, we autofill that form on the right. So all of that requires a lot of JavaScript work. And yep, so that's our Retool app. So far at Pop, we created around 10 apps in Retool, with the most notable ones being the one we shared just above. We also have another CRM app to manage our B2B clients as we sell the insurance policies to companies. We also have a finance app to run different scenarios, enter different goals, KPIs, OKRs, and we also do reconciliation on historical data and journal entries. What's next with Retool? Well, first, we're very grateful for that amazing tool. On a personal level, I'm impressed by so many facets of it, and it has evolved a lot since I started using it heavily 6 months ago. I have recommended it to so many engineers and other companies, and they all happen to love it. As for Pop specifically, what we're planning on doing next with Retool, we want to start, integrating some of the data visualizations that are needed for internal processes. That's one. Two, I want to start using reusable components, as I have to rebuild everything every time I start from scratch. Can't wait to see Retool implementing cross-database operations. I want to elaborate more and more about our team. And last but not least, I want to explore more connectors and build more apps. And again, thank you for that amazing opportunity. Here at Pop, we love Retool. And yeah.
That was amazing, Joe. I love how you described moving from Excel or Google Sheets onto Retool apps and the impact of that on your business operationally. But I have to say the UI of Pop's app is so intuitive and so awesome. And I've heard from multiple folks at Retool and outside how much they love it. So have to compliment you on that. And we'll have to talk more about it in the Q&A section. But our final speaker for today is Shubhanshu. As a founding engineer at Plum, Shubhanshu has been responsible for building out their Retool instance from scratch, as well as scaling it as the company has grown. So Plum provides high quality and affordable corporate healthcare insurance. Since launching a year ago, the company has scaled rapidly and now serves hundreds of companies in providing the best-in-class corporate health benefits to their employees. I'm excited to hear this story from launch to rapid scale. So go ahead, Shubhanshu.
Hey, thanks, Vasundhara, for the introduction. I'll just share my screen. Hey, you can see my deck. You can see my deck, right?
Yes, looks good.
Hey, everyone. Myself, Shubhanshu. I'm an engineer at Plum. Plum provides high-quality healthcare benefits to companies. We are working with 800 plus companies and have covered around 125,000 lives till now. We enable companies as small as 2 employees to buy insurance, and we also covered their new employees from day one. Our mission is to provide delightful insurance management for company admins and a hassle-free digital claim experience for their employees. Health insurance claims are broken. Why? Because the process is quite difficult and confusing. The communication is mostly one-way and decentralized. It's spread across multiple channels. And claims are denied or stuck due to clerical errors. We have redesigned our claims flow with the customer in mind and optimized back office operations to provide a simple and hassle-free claim service. And we can guess how, using Retool. So here are a couple of firsts that we have done in the market. We have built a self-serve claim interactions flow on WhatsApp, a platform with which Indian customers are familiar with. We have built for proactive notifications, so customers are always updated about their claim. We have built for investigation. Our back office team reviews each document, and once we make sure there's no issue, then there is no way your claim can be denied. So let's see how we do it. So claim journey on Plum starts on WhatsApp. Customers initiate a claim here by filling in a couple of details regarding their hospitalization. And at the end of these questions, they get a link to upload their documents. They open this link, they upload their documents, and then they hit submit. They see a status page to track their claim always. Our back office team at Plum works on this dashboard, which we have built on Retool. They look up for cases which are assigned to them. To provide complete visibility to our customers, we have divided the claim process into multiple stages. We maintain those stages from this tool and also keep an eye on their tag. So every day our team knows which claims they have to attack first. This dashboard has a lot of filters for assignee, organization, etc. And also a lot of different search options to search any claim. We also have a periodic runner here, which refreshes this dashboard every hour. So the claim that we have just created will appear in this section. So when we click on it, we see a table below, and then we click on the claim that we want to check first. So this is the summary of the claim. And here we see the summary section and also our update stages section. We can update anything about the claim over here. And all the details that we have collected from WhatsApp, we can see that those are directly flown into Retool. We can see different tabs for patient details, member details, organization, documents, internal comments, and action history. Then we go to the documents tab, and our Plum back office team reviews each document. So we have already merged a couple of documents in all bills and all reports together. So they open any document and then they start reviewing it. So we have a couple of instructions for our review. They check for claim validity. They check if forms are filled correctly or not, and if there is any missing document or not. So let's say they found a missing document here. A bill was missing. So they type a note and then send it. And then the stage of this claim is changed, and customer would receive a WhatsApp notification. So they would see the note which is added by our back office team member directly on their WhatsApp. So they again go on to their link, add missing documents which were missing, and they hit submit again. So the ticket again flows into our Retool, and then our team again starts reviewing it. They go to the document section and they again review. And once they are finalized that, okay, there is no issue, they download all the documents in a zip folder. And then they upload these documents in the insurance company's portal on behalf of our customer. Once they do these operations, they go back to the update section and change the stages accordingly. And employees are always updated about their claim directly from the Retool. So once I mark documents okay, and then I can mark the document that the claim is submitted. And then our team constantly follows up with the insurance company for all claims. And once they receive any update, they update in the Retool. So this is how we have been using this tool, and it's been super effective and productive for our team. We have had around 2-3 members at one point in our team, and we were easily able to manage around 300 cases at each. Our customers are also really happy with our work as we learn in our feedback responses. So what's next? For any query or help, employees reach out to us via our customer service tool, but it requires a lot of context switching for our team members to answer them. So we want to integrate our customer support tool inside Retool. We also don't want our customers to miss any important update from us. So we will build communication history inside Retool for both email and WhatsApp. We also need to track claims SLA regularly. So we need to have a proper reports for our teams. That's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending this. And thank you, Vasundhara, for this opportunity. Over to you.
Well, I have to say, it's been incredible to see you build these apps with no help from scratch. And for me, it's the connector with WhatsApp and the fact that, you know, customers interact on WhatsApp, which is obviously the comfortable platform for Indian folks. But the customer success team is still processing on Retool. And I have to give a shout out to that super intuitive dashboard as well. So that was awesome. And I really appreciate you sharing, Shubhanshu. And thank you to all the speakers for the amazing demos. I'll just quickly move into Q&A because we have 15 minutes left. We've seen some amazing questions come in. So let's start with the open questions, which is Roman asks, you know, Kihan, how long did it take you to put that Solera tool together? And maybe, you know, you can speak a little bit to being an enterprise customer or, you know, anything that, you know, helped with putting that tool together time-wise.
Yeah, so regarding that, we had it out in our staging environment roughly 1.5 months, as we had to learn more about how we can use Retool for our use cases, configure the backend, user groups permissioning, resource integrations, the SSO, building out the SSO flow for our Okta and Auth0 connection, building out the modules and application, as well as like configuring the Google Kubernetes clusters for it to work properly, as well as like building the modules and application. As for production, we took an extra month to iterate on like the requests from the different teams at Solera and setting up the instances in production. During the whole process, we work with Retool quite a lot in terms of like some of the questions that we're not really sure how to handle or how Retool is configured as we're kind of setting up the whole instances in our staging and production, and Retool kind of guide us quite a lot and working with us like constantly on like solving all of those issues. So yeah, we're really grateful for that.
Roman, I hope that answers your question. I think it could just be interesting to sort of go around the room and see how long it did take folks to build their apps. So maybe we can start with Joe and then Shubhanshu and then Dave and Luis. How long did it take you guys to build your apps?
So initially, you know, it's very easy to get set up and get up and running. You can be up and running in as, you know, little as a week. Like the learning curve is very easy, I want to say. The toughest part was to make it look good. So this is what took some time. I want to say, you know, for some apps took a week or two, other apps took more because we just simply needed to create the endpoints for them and the GraphQL endpoints and connect them so that, you know, you can't move directly to production. You have to go through staging and then move to production. And, you know, so it can take from a week up to a month. Really depends on the workflow and how complex and how nice you want to make it look.
Got it. So what I'm hearing is it's quick to set things up, but if you want to make it more complex or more beautiful, then, you know, it might take a little bit longer. Got it. Cool. Shubhanshu, Dave, or Luis, anyone want to take that question, or we can move on to the next one? We have lots of good ones.
Yeah, I mean, I can just say, like, we're a much smaller organization, right? And so I think, like, we're just on the hosted version and we don't really have to worry about permissions and that sort of stuff. I think the biggest thing was, just sort of figuring out how to get queries to chain together. We use a lot of transformers, but our team is also pretty, like, we work in JavaScript most of the time. So, that part went pretty fast. I think the main thing I'll call is there were a lot of questions just generally in the chat about, like, why are you using this for BI versus like a dedicated BI tool? And my general answer is that because it's good at that. And, and like, you can just drag charts over and say, here's the query I want to feed into this chart. And it'll pretty much just, pretty intelligently figure out like what things should be the keys and what should be the values. And so, yeah, I mean, I think for most of our apps, it's been pretty quick, right? Like once we got ramped up and onboarded with the first couple, like I said, when we first started adding graphs as opposed to just sort of CSV downloads and stuff, I think that took one of our engineers a couple of days to figure out. And then, everyone else has been able to look at his examples and go from there.
I love that.
On my end, it took a bit of time because I'm not an engineer, so I know nothing about coding. So I had to learn a bit of SQL just to like get started with Retool. But I would say that after a few weeks, I got used to the app, used to the language, the SQL language. And then, yeah, I think it was like from a few hours to probably a week to build the different dashboards and then iterating on them week over week. But it was pretty easy to ramp up.
It's amazing because you answered Amit's question as well, which is, does anyone have experience with non-engineers using Retool to build tools? Well, we have a speaker right here that was a non-engineer, right? So Luis, I think you mentioned you spent your career in ops and you did study engineering in college and you pretty much picked up Retool on the fly, right?
Yeah. So my co-founder is like an engineer. But he's dealing like with the building the product basically. So I had to ramp up, but I love learning SQL and things like that. So I started with that, and then it taught me a bit about like JavaScript. And I mean, I'm exploring and learning about tons of materials on the internet. So I'm trying to learn with that. Reach out to Retool sometimes to get some help. And it's totally possible, I would say.
Amazing. We've definitely found that as well, that there are other sort of interested semi-technical folks or non-technical folks even who, once they charge forward with that like slight learning curve at the beginning, they build actually amazing tools. So I hope that answers your question, Amit. I do see a question for Solera. So Nolan asks, for Solera, what kind of backend is being used? Is it a straight SQL REST API? And what was the reasoning behind it?
So at Solera, we use quite a lot. So our whole instances is deployed in Google Kubernetes, and then we connect to a lot of different integrations. Because even if there isn't like a direct integration, such as Contentful, Service Desk, Auth0, you could always use a REST API integration to integrate between those two platforms. There is a direct integration with Salesforce because we have some data that we need from Salesforce, as well as Google Sheets. A lot of our business teams use Google Sheets, so we have to integrate that over as well. And then Contentful is where we pull all of our strings for all of our content into the front end. So that's where we integrate it. And then Service Desk is where we create the PCC, which is our call center, create Service Desk tickets so that they can keep track of all of the calls that they had with the participant. And then we also integrate with Google Cloud Healthcare API, our own in-house REST API, as well as PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL is more towards like getting information directly from Retool, because our PostgreSQL is directly integrated with Retool. So we can get information regarding our users directly from PostgreSQL. And then we also integrate with Auth0 and Okta to get like identity and scope information. And we also integrate with BigQuery in order to get all of the different data from our database, because we store our data in different database, and one of them is BigQuery, some in Salesforce, some in MongoDB. So yeah, it's kind of we just kind of integrate them all into one.
Makes a lot of sense. I did see a question come in for Shubhanshu on WhatsApp in the chat. So it's not in the Q&A, so I'll just read it out loud. Amy asks, Shubhanshu, does the information and document that were sent through WhatsApp, do they sync directly into Retool? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually the information that we collect from WhatsApp is directly flown into Retool, but we collect documents over our internal link. That is actually all the documents are assigned to a particular claim, and then and those documents are stored in our storage system. So, and then we directly show all the documents related to a claim into that Retool app. We also have a background script so that we merge all the documents together so that it's quite easy for our team members to just download and upload on insurance company portal. I hope it answers your question.
It answered it for me. So I will jump on. I have one last question for Kihan that I was very curious about, which is, since I know that data security is so key in the space that you operate in, can you tell me a little bit more about how you implement Retool in a secure way?
Yeah, sure. So we have a couple of layers of security setup. So when like a user logs into our on-premise Retool instance, they go through an SSO flow that will check with our identity provider Okta to see if they are allowed to use the Retool instance or not. If not, then they don't even get to log in to Retool. And then during that process, it also talks to our Auth0 to get the user group token that is set in our Auth0 Terraform. And we usually set our security permissions in our Auth0 Terraform, and our in-house REST API will check for the scope that is associated with that Terraform. And then, so for instance, in Terraform, this user A has scope 1, and then he can only access all the APIs that have scope 1. And if that API endpoint requires like a scope 2, then this user will hit an error when like hitting that API. Because the token is associated with this user A does not have the scope to use that API endpoint. As another layer of security, I usually create the user groups within Retool itself to kind of control who has access to which apps. Do we show this modules to this user group? Do we show this models, as well as certain functionality within the applications is also managed using user groups. So it's like kind of a double layer of security, one on the API level and one on the Retool instance itself.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. So we have 4 minutes left. I will quickly run through some promotions and announcements from all our speakers here. Sorry, just a second. Here we go. Hera is hiring, so you can reach out to Lois, first name at hera.so. You can also use this link. We'll send it out in a follow-up email to all the panelists after the event. Retool just launched Retool for Startups, which is that early stage companies are now eligible for 12 months of free Retool credits, 160K in partner deals, and operator playbooks from fast-growing startups at retool.com/startups. So check it out, apply for the program. We love working with startups and want to continue. Upchieve is looking for volunteers, so you can sign up as a volunteer tutor at upchieve.org/sign-up. They're also open source organization and are always welcoming new contributors at upchieve.org/open source. We will have one more Lightning Demos in Q4, so learn.retool.com will be updated with that information shortly. But just wanted to say thank you so much to everybody that's been here today, especially to the panelists. I appreciate you guys so much, and all the attendees as well. It's been such a pleasure to host this event. Thank you for attending. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you.